Hello and welcome to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg and I am here today to do a quick Friday Reads video. I'm actually filming this on Wednesday because by the time you see this, I will have had sinus surgery, as I've been warning people. So hopefully I will be recovering and fine, but I wanted to make sure I filmed a Friday Reads video because I finally finished a book in 2024, and it felt like I wanted to do a video to just quickly mention that and talk about it a little bit. So just quick notes before I talk about the book. You might notice Teddy is not with me, so he has been a very good boy with the cold. It's been very, very cold where I live. We've had a lot of days, consecutive days, of below 0 Fahrenheit weather. And Teddy has been a real trooper through a lot of it. We've been playing brain games inside to try to keep him, tire him out a little bit, but also keep him active. We have spent a lot of time in Ace Hardware walking around because it's one of the only places we can go take a dog and walk around, and the employees are really friendly. So we've spent a lot of time walking around Ace Hardware and a couple of other stores in town to try to continue getting him out because he is a very active dog, but he's been a big trooper. Today, he finally reached a bit of a breaking point, and I think he was just bored this morning because I had to jump like right to work early because I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done before I finish for the day since surgery's tomorrow morning, bright and early. And he actually barked at me, which he has never done because he wanted attention. So Joel took him out to run an errand, and that is where Teddy is and why he's not here. But there's your Teddy update, even though he is not here. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I did my most anticipated new release books of 2024 on Monday, and I completely forgot a book for that because if I had included it on Monday, it would not have been published yet. When you watch this video, it will have been published. It's One Love by Matt Cain. If you follow along, you know I'm a huge fan of The Secret Life of Albert Entwistle. I loved Becoming Teddy. Becoming Teddy was one of Joel's favorite books from last year and was one of my almost favorite books from last year. Both of those videos will be linked down below. And The Secret Life of Albert Entwistle, I believe, was in both of our top 10s the year in which we read it, which the year before that. Really great book. So I'm really looking forward to that. Can't believe I didn't think to include it in my most anticipated books because it's one of the books I'm most excited to read this year. I think it was only because it was releasing in January. Now, I have a copy pre-ordered. Here's the problem with this. If you live in the US, it's being released in the UK only, and I don't have the patience to wait. Becoming Ted was released in the UK, and now a year later, it's being released in the US. I don't have the patience for that. I need my Matt Cain fix now. So I have it pre-ordered at Gaze the Word, which is a really great queer bookstore in London, I believe, that someday I would really like to visit in person. But in the meantime, I have it pre-ordered with them. Hopefully I'll be getting a signed copy. Fingers crossed for that, because he actually went to Gaze the Word and signed copies that had been pre-ordered. So I'm really hoping I get one of those. Yeah, but so I'm excited about that. And I forgot to mention it. So there's your PSA. Matt Cain has a book coming out. I should have included it in my most anticipated books of 2024. Let's get to the Friday Reads because I don't have a whole lot of time. I want to be quick, but also, to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of time. I have a lot of stuff I need to wrap up for work before the end of the day, and I have tried to film ahead. So the only video that might be missing in the remainder of January is next week's Friday Reads. I just don't know if I'm going to be feeling well enough or in a place where I want to do a Friday Reads. So we'll see. If I feel up to it next week, I will film one. Otherwise, you won't see one. I'm kind of anticipating you won't see one, but if I'm in a good place, there will be a Friday Reads. But I have stuff filmed ahead for the remainder of January. So there shouldn't be any lapses. Joel is actually going to help me and film a video as well. So you'll get something from him. You'll get some stuff from me for the rest of January. The only question mark is whether or not there will be a Friday Reads. But I have 2 videos that I need to edit before the end of the day. And I need to edit and schedule this one before the end of the day, so I won't have to even think about it. I might be slow to respond to comments over the next week or so as well, so please be patient with me. And I appreciate all the kind words about the approaching surgery. It's really nice. Anyway, all of that is just to say, I had allowed myself the time and ability to not really be in the mood to read in January. And I talked about that a lot in my last Friday Reads video, which will be linked down below. And I finally finished a book. And once it started to come together quickly. And the excitement to read actually started to build. So I finished Cramped and Hodnet by Barbara Pym. And I really enjoyed this. This was my first experience reading a Barbara Pym novel, and I really liked it. I have 2 other books of hers on my shelf, and stay tuned for my book haul in January when I will talk about this and those as well. This is a little bit hard to explain. If you like Jane Austen or Edith Wharton, I think you would like Barbara Pym. I don't want to oversell the Jane Austen connection in particular, because I don't think this in particular is a book that you turn to for high romance. Like, if you're looking for an Elizabeth Bennet or a Mr. Darcy, you are not going to find it in this book. You will find extremely witty, sharp social critique. So when I say fans of Jane Austen, that's the part of Jane Austen that I'm really drawing out, and that I think you will find and enjoy in Barbara Pym. Same is true of Edith Wharton, because this is an exceedingly clever book, and it has very sharp insight about society and the way people are, have foibles and get into messes a lot of the time, and we can be very judgmental, and the way gossip works. It's a book that is very fixated on gossip, which actually kind of explains the title, because there is a character who is a clergyman, and he has gone on a walk with another woman, and he misses evensong. And he's supposed to be there because he's a clergyman, and he's terrified of what other people are going to say. And she just tells him, just tell the truth. You were walking with me. And he doesn't want to tell the truth because he thinks people will assume something was going on. So she just tells him, well, just say you were sick. And he instead comes up with this ridiculous scenario where he tells people, I went to visit a friend who's a vicar in another village. And immediately, of course, people ask, well, what village? Well, who's the vicar? And he comes up with a fake name for a village, Crampton Hodnet. So that's the title. And Crampton Hodnet itself doesn't really become important. Just it becomes a metaphor for human frailty, essentially, in ways we gossip and try to get out of things. And I just think this was a very clever book, and I can't wait to read more Barbara Pym. I might try to cram in at least one of the other books of hers that I have before the end of the year. I will say there isn't too much of a plot, or at least until I was about 70% through the book, it wasn't entirely apparent which plot line was going to really be important. And the one that actually ended up being important is not the one I expected to be important, but it kind of rose at that point, and it became obvious that it was the plotline that was going to propel us to the conclusion of the book. It's kind of like an ensemble story in a town in North Oxford, where Oxford is, obviously, and it's just a very clever book. I think it's probably good that I went in low expectations, because and I think it kind of perfectly fit with my muted attitude toward reading, because for long stretches nothing seems to be happening. However, you don't really care because the observations are so on point and very cleverly done. So I am looking forward to reading more of Barbara Pym in the future, and I got my first book out of the way. So I continued to do it slowly. I got a small chunk done on Saturday, a small chunk done on Sunday, and then at that point I was more than halfway through. And then on Monday, I think I read about 50 pages. So when Monday ended, I hit the point where there were only 30 pages left in the book. So Tuesday, yesterday, as I'm filming this, I put out a push and finished it before the end of the day. And as soon as I did, I really started to feel jazzed about reading again. I feel like sometimes you just need to let these things play out. And if it goes for a long time, so be it. And in this case, it ended up being a short time, because as soon as I got this one done, I really started to feel myself kicking into gear. I actually started Morning and Evening by Jan Fosse last night. Jan Fosse won the Nobel Prize for Literature last year, and I didn't want to commit to septology, which some people, it's published in 3 volumes, but people sort of took issue with the fact that it's separate books. It's published in 3 volumes. You know what I mean. So I didn't want to commit to a story that unfolds over 3 different volumes. This felt much more achievable, and I started it last night, and I'm actually about halfway through at this point, so I might even finish this tonight. That's how suddenly amped up I am about reading. And I don't know how I'm feeling about this. It's very beautifully written. It's sort of mellifluous. It unfolds in a sort of stream of consciousness style, which isn't always my thing. And I'm not sure I'm entirely appreciating the way it's done here, but it does feel beautiful in a way, and it feels sort of melodic, musical, and it'll be interesting to see. So I'm about halfway through. I will probably finish this tonight, and I won't be able to talk to you about it for a while, probably, because surgery is happening. But so I'm actually even almost done with this, which is pretty cool. I also made a lot of progress on the audio that I'm doing, which is The Christmas Orphans Club by Becca Freeman. Again, feeling emboldened by the fact that I finished a book, I suddenly dived into the audio. And I had only been about 17% of the way through, and I am now halfway through, and it's only about 24 hours later. So I made a lot of progress on this book. It's giving me all the fun Christmas vibes that I need to transition me into 2024. And it feels appropriate given how cold it is where I live. And by the way, if you live in an area where it is cold, I hope you're staying warm. It's just a mess out there with storms and cold and everything. So I hope you're staying warm. But yeah, this is giving all of the comfort I knew that it would as a sort of transitional book from 2023 into 2024, even though we're more than halfway through January at this point. So the transition is kind of done, but it's doing everything I needed it to do for me, and hopefully I will be done with this by the weekend, because I'm hoping that over the next few days, I don't really know what recovery is going to look like. People have been telling me that the first week is very painful and that I'm probably going to be sleeping a lot, so I anticipate that. But I'm hoping I'll be able to read. I have like a whole pile of books right here that I'm kind of choosing from, and I have some other books that I have on NetGalley that I might try to get through. I'm probably going to be leaning into audios. I do have one or two projects that I might do here in the house that I can listen to in audio while I do. Let's quickly just run through some of the things on this pile. One of the books that I might do that was on my most anticipated list that I have access to is Float Up, Sing Down by Laird Hunt, which is sort of a follow-up to Zori. It's a story collection. I'm really excited about it. So I might cram this in this weekend once I finish morning and evening. I also have a copy of Leonard and Hungry Paul by Ronan Hessian from the library. Bob the Booker had talked about this in his best books of 2023 and got emotional talking about this book because of the kindness that it showed. And one, he got emotional about it. That immediately got me interested in the book. Two, it's essentially a book about kindness, and that really appeals to me a lot. And it just so happened my library has a copy. So I requested it. Here it is, and I'm really thinking that this might be something I try to prioritize over the next week and get to. We shall see. I did just get access to Hello Beautiful by Ann Napolitano on audio. So once I finish Christmas Orphans Club, I'm thinking that I'm going to transition to Hello Beautiful, and this will probably be my next audiobook. I have 3 other library books, and I don't know how much I'm going to be in the mood to read. I don't know what I'm going to be in the mood to read, but it's nice to have options. So these are sort of in addition to the stuff that I have on NetGalley that I talked about in my most anticipated video. I just got Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. I really don't think I'm going to be in the mood for this. So this might even be a case where I end up returning this book and letting the next person who has it on hold take it. But we'll see. Because from what I've heard, this book is probably not good if you're dealing with any kind of anxiety, and I will admit the surgery has sort of escalated my sense of anxiety. The Iowa caucus escalated my sense of anxiety for 2024, so this might be a bad time for Prophet Song, but I do have it, and it is in the mix. Forbidden Notebooks by Alba de Cespedes, translated by Anne Goldstein, with a foreword by Jumbo Lahiri. Someone on the channel recommended this, and I apologize, I don't have the name in front of me, but I had requested it at my library, and now, weeks later, here it is. So maybe I will read that this week. And then I did another one of these small, I'm forgetting the name of the series. Here it is, Storybook ND. So basically, this publishing company takes short stories and packages them at sort of like old golden books. So this is The Woman Who Killed the Fish by Clarice Lispector. I've heard great things about Clarice Lispector, but have not actually read anything of hers. So I think this is more than one story. It is. So it's actually 4 stories by Clarice Lispector. And the first one is The Woman Who Killed the Fish. There's a little illustration for you. So this should be very doable over the next week. I figured having a mix of serious things, fun things, and short things is probably a great idea. So those are some things that I'm going to be keeping on my pile next to me in case I am actually in the mood to read over the next week, and we'll just see how things go. We'll see if I'm able to film a Friday Reads video next week. If not, I apologize. I know you understand. And I appreciate all the support and the kind words and good vibes that have been sent my way with the approaching surgery. I admit I'm feeling a little nervous today, but I think it's been a long time coming. I have had sinus problems since I was in 3rd grade, and I'm ready to hopefully not have sinus problems anymore. So we'll see how everything goes. In the meantime, I will just say thank you. I finished a book in 2024, and now I'm feeling pumped about getting ready again. And I knew I just needed to let that play out. So I'm glad that I did. I'm glad I gave myself a little bit of time and leeway and freedom to just not be in the mood to read a little. And as I kind of expected, it did help me get over the hump, especially once I slow walked my way into finishing a book. I got excited again. I kind of had a feeling that was how it was going to go. I just needed to let it happen. And here we are. It's happening. So I would love to hear what you're reading. I don't know that I'm going to be in a place where I can respond to comments very much over the weekend, but I'd love to hear what you've been reading and watching and all of that stuff. And as always, I really appreciate your time, and I will be back. Until next time, happy reading.